The Dhamma lecture number 2, Sunday, 11 August 2024. We will be continue our Dhamma group 3.1. That means there will be 3.2 and 3.3 later session. Last week, we did talk about Dhamma group 2, which I will recap for those who missed the class last week, just give you some idea. And each week, Luang Pi will recap what we learned from last week, and maybe 3 to 5 minutes, just to help you tap and connect the dot before we move on to the next session. And this is what we learned last week. We learned about the Dhamma group 2, which is considered the basic Dhamma principle of a good man. If a man have this, anyone have this quality, this virtue in them, they consider a good man, a basic principle, okay, of a good man. Number one is called the virtue of great assistance. We're talking about sati or mindfulness. We did talk about sampachanya or the clear comprehension. I will also mention the Pali terms for you as well, because it's almost unavoidable for everyone who come to study the teaching of the Buddha to come across the Pali terms, because his teaching are kept in the Buddhist text in the Pali language. And this day we have many versions that get translated from the Pali to English, to Thai, to Chinese, to many languages. That's something that you can take benefit from, this technology that available, so you can get to the teaching, the authentic teaching of the Buddha by yourself. Second, we did talk about the virtue that protect the world, the hiri, or moral shame, and the ottappa, moral fear. Okay, you may feel foreign about the Pali term. It's okay. At least hear it often, then you will get familiar with it. And the third group, we did talk about the grateful Dhamma. In the worldly view, when we see someone beautiful or handsome, we judge them by their appearance, the way they look, their hairstyle, their feature. But to the lens of Buddhism, no, that's not considered grateful. What makes people grateful or beautiful is their patience, the ability to control their emotion, okay, and suraja, the gentleness. In the difficult time, if someone can remain calm, not just force oneself to be patient, to accept something that he or she doesn't like in that moment, but that person can also be able to maintain peaceful state of mind in that difficult situation, and that's called suraja. They go together. And number 4, the fourth group, we did talk about the rare person, people who are difficult to find in this world. The Buddha mentioned 2 kinds. The first called Bupakari, one who do the favor first, just like our parents took care of us, our teacher teach us, give us the wisdom. Even the Buddha who teach us the Dhamma that help us to lessen our suffering. And Katanyu Kataveti, we recognize their goodness, and then we find way, or we feel obligated to pay back their gratitude. That's the 2 kind of rare person. When you hear the Dhamma in group like this, it decides to practice together simultaneously. You should not select just, I'm going to just practice hiri, feel shameful of doing bad, but I'm going to neglect ottappa. No. I'm just going to practice mindfulness, but I will neglect sampachanya or the clear comprehension. No, if you don't practice the Dhamma fully, you will not get the full result. Your problem is still there. Okay, whatever problem that you are facing, it still be there, because just like you take the medicine and missing one important ingredient in that medicine, this medicine is supposed to have 2 important ingredients. Somehow you take one out, you take just one ingredient, and hopefully to heal the disease. No, it doesn't work that way. Similar to the idea of the Noble Eightfold Path, composed of the 8 ingredients in that medicines. If someone take this medicine with these 8 important ingredients, that person will be healed from the suffering fully. Okay, which we will definitely talk about the Noble Eightfold Path down the road, but not today. Okay, so I did create the flashcard or the card shares to help you to memorize the Dhamma that we learned. So each week I'll try to come up with something new. I will send to the live group, so you just look at them, okay, just to refresh your memory, because it will be on the exam somehow. So the virtue of the great assistant, right away, you should know that it has 2 things, sati and sampachanya. And then the virtue that protect the world, okay, Thiri and Ottappa. The graceful Dhamma, okay, Khanti and Soracha, okay, patience and gentleness. And the rare person, okay, Bupakari and Katanyu, okay. Don't worry too much about the Pali term, okay. If it's gonna be on the test, I will give you the meaning in English anyway. But like I said, it's nice to know the terms that's explained in Pali. This is considered the authentic teaching of the Buddha that appears in the Buddhist text. This file, okay, I'll be sent to the live group as well. Don't worry about it. So you can download it and save it somewhere to study later on. All right. First quiz today. Which virtue would be most crucial to preventing impulsive, harmful action?
May I answer the question?
Can, definitely, Clint.
Rajan, I believe it would be sati.
Sati, all right. That's correct answer. Sati or mindfulness, right? Sati or mindfulness should be easy to understand because when we have sati, we are actually with whatever it is that in front of us 100%. And when that happens, it gives rise to the sampajanya or the clear comprehension to be able to function, to investigate what's going on. Okay, and that helps us to prevent the violence or the unwholesome action later that may be happening later on. Second one, which virtue would be most beneficial in maintaining long-term harmonious relationship? Mm. Again, it should be another easy one. In fact, all of these should be easy. Okay.
Rajan, I believe it would be theory, the moral shame, having a moral, like just concern of how your actions going to affect everything.
Okay, that's nice thought, but still incorrect. Nice try if you can. See, even though you missed the class, you can still, be able to answer the question. That's very nice of you. Okay. So here is a moral shame, right? These two, they are the virtue that protect the world. Katanyu, Kataveti, and the Bupakari. Okay, so Bupakari, maybe you guys can mute your microphone.
Okay.
Let's see. My video being the screen. All right. So the answer is Katanyu Kataveti, right? If you look at the meaning of this moral shame and moral fear, of course, this is the Dhamma that protect the world. Now we're talking about the long-term harmonious relationship. Okay, long-term harmonious relationship. When someone feel appreciate, okay, and feel that I like to pay back the gratitude for someone who I live with, I work with, I stay with them, they take care of me, I like to take care of them. With this kind of mindset, okay, it helps to maintain a good relationship. You be aware of what you're about to do, to say to that person, because you know that, whatever they do from, they do their best to take care of you. They do their best to be the best boss. They do their best to be the best parent, look after you in the something that need to be to look that's something that need to be carefully looked after. Like mother and father look after their children, teacher look after their students, something like this. But Bupakari, it's one who take initiative in doing good deeds. Okay, this is incorrect. So the answer should go for the C. And next one, the last one. Which pair of virtue work together to create strong moral compassion? That's another easy one. This is not right. This is go to the virtue that's a great assistant, support all kind of Dhamma practice. Khanti and Soraja, you see gentleness, you think of gratefulness. Dhamma that make people beautiful. Okay, this is not, this is the rare person, and that leave us one option, the Hiri and Ottappa. Okay, something like this just help you to reflect what you learned last week and help you to retain the information that you learned from the class by go through some quizzes. Okay, so now we will start our lecture today, the Dhamma group 3.1. We'll be covering 4 topics: the 3 gems in Buddhism, the 3 instructions of the Buddha, the good and evil conduct. You get to know what considered the good and what considered the bad in Buddhism. And the last one will be looking into the root of unwholesome. And when we're looking into the root of unwholesome, we will also concurrently look into something called the root of wholesome as well. That help us to see the complete picture, what caused the bad and what caused the good in Buddhism. So before we get started, this is another thing that I would like everyone to reflect: the importance of study Dhamma. What we are doing here in this community, even though it's 10 of us, 15 of us, less than 20 of us, but it's create a big impact for the future of Buddhism, for the long lasting of the teaching of our great teacher, the Buddha. Why is that? In one teaching, the Buddha talked to a man named Kimpila. And this is what he said: it's when the monks, the nuns, the laymen, and the laywomen, if they lack respect and the reverence for 3 things. Number 1, the teacher, which is the Buddha himself, the Dhamma, which is his teaching, and the Sangha, the group of monks, nuns who preserve the teaching. Not only that, if people lack respect in the training of Sikha, this is what we do here. We train ourselves, we educate ourselves. That's why we join the class. We make an effort to be here every Saturday and Sunday afternoon, and we determine to finish the class for the next 12 or 13 or 12 weeks together. The concentration or the meditation, see, the teaching is not just learning the theory. You need to practice, develop the quality of the mind through practice meditation as well. The heedfulness, this is another huge topic in Buddhism when we talk about heedfulness, which again point to definitely will related to sati and sampajanya. And the hospitalities, hospitalities. After the final extinguishment of the Buddha, this is the cause, this is the reason why the true teaching or the Dhamma does not last long after the final extinguishment of the Buddha. Okay, what do we learn here? Right? If this thing happen, when you start seeing people neglect to study Dhamma, neglect to pay respect to the Sangha, neglect to welcome the Sangha, neglect to make a donation to offering to take care of the Buddhist community, neglect to pay homage to the Buddha, that is the sign that the teaching of the Buddha will not last long. But if you look at yourself as an individual, do you have any kind of this attitude or this behavior? If not, that's good. Look at your family. Look at the people in your life circle. Look at your community. Look at the whole country as a whole. Wherever you go, the people, still observing precept. People still find a way to go to the temple and listen to the Dhamma talk or make an offering, or people still support the Buddhist activity or not. Okay, if you see this kind of activity still going on, still being active, that is a good sign. If not, that's the sign telling us that this thing will be happening. It will not last long. It will not last long. Yourself may come to study the Dhamma. What about your children? What about husband? What about wife? Do they have the same attitude like you? Do they have the same view like you? This is something you can, perhaps look into it and to see if anything you can do. Okay. Of course, you bring yourself first. You lift yourself up, come to the Dhamma, understand it, put into practice, and live life as a good example. Then, later on, bring people on into the path of study Dhamma. Okay. And when we talk about the noble disciple to the lens of the Buddha, how do we know that we are the noble disciple as a layman, as a laywoman, as a monk, or as a nun? It's not just we come to the teaching, understand the teaching, observing precept, meditation, make donation. Not just that. That's still not enough. There are more responsibility for you to expand your comfort zone, the circle of your comfort zone, to go out and educate people, go out and bring people, come to the path, come to the Dhamma, come to the precept, come to the meditation, come to offering. That's how, the noble disciple should be doing. It's not just us. I know Dhamma, I study Dhamma, I meditate, and that's it. No, this is not enough. It's not guarantee the long lasting of Buddhism. We have to have more work to do. Okay, so today we're going to touch on something which is quite important. It's the cornerstone of the Buddhism as a whole, to understand the triple gems. Most Buddhists, we know what triple gems are, but we may not know how significant they are. We know what it is, okay? And this is the picture of the three view. It's the stone sculpture, which represent the triple gems, which is the Buddha gem, the Dhamma gem, and the Sangha gem. Okay, in British Museum, you see the three circle here. The Buddha gem, the Dhamma gem, and the Sangha gem. In Thailand, or in most Buddhist temple, Buddhist people, sometimes we have the small room that dedicate, for the Buddha, right? Just like this. I have a little room like this, at my house as well. When I was living with my parents, it's still there. Okay, but I didn't know much about the meaning. I know I feel good every time see mom and dad go in there and do the chanting together, meditate together, and that's why there's no fight in the family, because they go chanting, they go meditate together. So here, what you see, this is very typical in the ceremony, in the temple, at home. We normally have this kind of setting, the Buddhist altar. You may see one Buddha image here. You see the flowers, actually, sometimes two, sometimes three, sometimes four, it depends. And you see the candle right here, two candles. And you see the scents, the three scents, incense. So the candles, okay, two candle, three incense, okay, and flowers. Okay, on top there is a Buddha image. It means something. It's not just there for no reason. And when someone asks you, oh, you finished the Dhamma elementary level already, what does it mean? Why they put flower in there? What kind of flower can I put there? What kind of color should I put there? How many candles should I put there? Can you put 3 candles? Can you put 4 incense? And why have to be that number? Okay, number one, the meaning is here, this is how we pay homage to the triple gems. The Buddha gem, there's a Buddha image. The incense, 3 incense represent something. The quality of the Buddha, right? The Buddha has 3 qualities, right? The wisdom, the purity, and the compassion, which we will get to that in a moment. And the 2 candle represents what? Now we have Buddha. This is for the Buddha, right? The incense for the Buddha. Which one for the Dhamma? This one. The candle represent the Dhamma. There are two, right? Buddhism composed of two things. Buddhism composed of Dhamma plus the Vinaya. This is Buddhism. That's what the Buddha said. After he passed, he did not select anyone to take charge of his doctrine or Buddhism. Instead, he pointed to these two things to be the teacher after I'm gone. So the Dhamma and the Vinaya. The Dhamma is the teaching, and the Vinaya is the rule and regulation. With these two things, as long as it's still alive, that means Buddhism is still alive. So there are two candles to represent, to pay homage to the Dhamma. And the flower now coming down to one option left, which is the Sangha. The flower represents the Sangha. Why is that? Because when you fix the flower, usually, you mix them together, different type of flower, different colors, and you put them together in the jar. It look nice because flower represents the Sangha. Because think of the Sangha itself. There are many people come and ordain, from different walks of life, from different background. We have Western monks here. We have monks from Thailand. We have monks from China. We have many people come from around the world to become a monk. And that makes us beautiful. That makes the community beautiful. We represent one kind of flowers. And when we stay together, these flowers stick together with the rules. Doesn't matter who you are. When you become a monk, you observe the same precept, at least 200 rules. There's no option. Oh, you come from America, you observe 10 rules. There is no such thing. It doesn't matter where you're from. You, me, myself, monk in Thailand, monk from Laos, monk from Myanmar, monk from China, from Australia, we observe the same rule. That this rule connect us, okay, and make us and keep the community to be able to live together in peace and harmony because of the rule that we surrender to, that we willing to observe. Okay, so now you see the Buddha pay homage by the 3 incense, and the candle represents the Dhamma, and the flower also represent the Sangha. Okay, so there are terms that used when it comes to the study of the triple gems. Sometimes you hear the word 3 gems, the 3 jewels, the 3 treasure, or the 3 pillar of Buddhism. Can be any names, but it points to the same thing. The question is why they choose the gem. This is the blue diamond, the blue royal diamond, which is the most expensive jewelry ever auctioned. It's called 44 millions, this little stone. It may mean a lot of things to many people, but for some people it means nothing. It's just a stone. Somehow we give price to this stone. It's considered maybe the rare item to be found, and the color, the shape, the size, and the shape may be quite unique, right? That's why it costs a lot of money. So when something valuable, we call that gems. It represents the gem. Gem is refer to something valuable. That's why the idea of the triple gem comes from this, because the triple gem is something invaluable. And there's a reason for that, which we will look into it deeply today. Okay, the 3 gems, and the Pali called the 3 Ratana. Ratana means gems. Number 1 gem is called the Buddha gem, one of the most indispensable, the most invaluable items. And the second is called the Dhamma, and the third is called the Dhamma gem and the Sangha gem, the 3 gems. If we put them in together with a little bit of explanation, this is what we can see. If we organize them like this, there are 3 gems in Buddhism, right? The first is the Buddha gem, the second is the Dhamma gem, and the third is the Sangha gem. The Buddha referred to the self-enlightenment. We will get to each gems in detail in a moment. Now, I'd like you to see the broader picture first, then we'll zoom into each one of them. The Buddha gem, the Dhamma gem, and the Sangha gem. Here you see Buddha is a self-enlightened. Okay, you see just one characteristic of the Buddha gem. And now the Dhamma gem is the teaching of the Buddha. Okay, let's just pick one simple meaning of each gem for you to start off with. But when it comes to the Sangha gem, there are 2 kinds of Sangha. Number one is called the noble Sangha, and number two is called conventional Sangha. What's the difference? Noble Sangha is when you see the word noble, that means something special, right? Noble. The noble eightfold path. Please don't call just the eightfold path. It must be called the noble eightfold path. It's called Ariya Satya. It's come from the word Ariya Sat, noble. So we cannot just take it lightly. Oh, it's just the eightfold path. No. It's not just the eightfold path. It has to be called the noble eightfold path because they are noble. They are noble Dhamma. Okay. So this is noble Sangha, the group of being who consider a noble being. That means they have trained themselves well enough to be called the noble beings. Come from the background of ignorant beings, train themselves following the teaching, and one day they become a noble person. From ignoble become noble. From ignorant being to be someone who have the access to the right understanding about life. Okay, and the conventional Sangha is group. They are the group of monks who still undergone the training, just like myself, just like most of the monks here, that we not anywhere near perfect yet, but we on our way. We want to be a better person. We start to observe more precepts. We start to be more mindful. We start to study more Dhamma. So we on our way to be better and better monks, better and better Sangha. But at the moment, we are considered the conventional Sangha. Okay, I don't know if any arahants out there or not. I don't know. I have no idea, right? But if they are in this category, a noble Sangha. Other than that, it's below the stream entry. We call the conventional Sangha. Okay, so now zoom into the Buddha qualities. It seems a lot, but it's necessary to understand. This is what you chant quite often when you chant Itipiso. Itipiso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava. This is the most common teaching that most Buddhists should be able to chant, right? It's explained the 9 qualities of the Buddha. That's why the Buddha is worth respect. Number one, he is Arahant. Sorry. Arahant mean what? Arahant, when someone attained the Arahantship, that person have attained the purest state of the mind. So their mind will be free from tanha, greed, hatred, and delusion and ignorance. That's the short explanation of the word Arahant. The Buddha have attained these qualities. Second, Samma Sambuddho. Samma Sambuddho is self-discover the Four Noble Truths. Self-enlightenment. Nobody teach him. Nobody teach him. Arahant can be applied to any being. We can be one of the Arahant in the future. But Arahant and the Buddha is different because Buddha is self-taught. He teaches himself. The rest of Arahant, they have to learn from someone, listen to something, and understand the Dhamma that they listen to, and then be able to practice fully, and then they become Arahant later. But the Buddha is not. Okay, that's why it's called Samma Sambuddha. Okay, self-discover of the we can call the Four Noble Truths again, or the self-enlightenment, because understand the Four Noble Truths fully. That's why he proclaimed that I am achieved full enlightenment. So we're talking about the same thing here. The third one, Vishacharana Sampanno, possess both knowledge and proper conduct. Vishacharana Sampanno. The Buddha is endowed with both knowledge and correct behavior, both in the theory and in the practice. So he speaks as he behaves, and he behaves as he speaks. That's why it's called Vishacharana Sampanno. Vicha means knowledge. Okay, Charana means conduct. And the next one is called Sukhato. Sukhato means what? He reached Nibbana, basically. He go to good place. That's why it's called Sukhato. He reached the supreme Nibbana. And number 5, Lokavitu. Lokavitu. Loka means world. Okay. Loka. When you hear the word loka, you think of world. Loka, to understand the world. What is the world? There are two things when you hear the word world, when you study the Dhamma, you can think of the world as individual world. This is the 5 aggregate. You are one world, myself is one world. And you can think of the world as the physical world, like this, or the realm of existence. We're talking about the 31 realm of existence. The Buddha understands them all. That's why he called Loka Vitu, understand all realm of existence. And number 6 is Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati. Okay, he's the supreme teacher. The Buddha is a supreme teacher. He is the best teacher, in other words, who can get to everyone to understand the Dhamma. He can make people understand the teaching and be able to lift his student up, to whatever suffering that he or she is experiencing. There are many cases like this that appear in the Buddhist text. It's a beautiful story. That's why it's called, he is a supreme teacher. Sattha Teva, Sattha Deva, Manusanang. You see the word Deva here and Manusa, right? Manusa mean man. Deva mean Deva. So the Buddha is a great teacher for both man and Deva mean heavenly beings. And Buddho or Buddho mean the awakened one, the fully aware of the Four Noble Truth. He himself discovered the Four Noble Truth and know them like no one else. That's why he called the awakened beings. And Bhagawa is unmatched in special powers and perfect virtue like generosity, morality. Now you think of before someone can become the Buddha, that person or that being need to cultivate and develop. You hear the term called the 10 perfection or parami. Sometimes the 30 perfection point to the same thing. So it's not just, oh, I want to be the Buddha, and then it happened next life or the next, in the near future life. No, it's that person need to cultivate perfection, pursue perfection for a countless lifetime until all the perfection become complete, become fulfilled. Then he can be called the Buddha. Just like the giving, the loving kindness, the moral conduct, the renunciation, the wisdom, the patience, the truthfulness, the determination, the equanimity, all of these 10 perfection need to be perfect. That is why the Buddha is worth respect, because there's not many beings can have all of these power just like he has. Okay, this is the idea of the Buddha. So in short, this is what we learn in the kindergarten, in most of the Buddhist class. When we talk about the Buddha qualities, it's summarized into 3 things. The Buddha has perfect wisdom, right? He has wisdom. He can teach himself to be free from mental impurities. He can train himself. No one teach him how to do that. Smart enough to free himself from the root cause of suffering. That's number 1 virtue. The second, purity. He's perfect in his precept, body, speech, and mind. And his compassion to teach the Dhamma to the world. So the more Luang Pi, myself, study Dhamma, the more I feel grateful and appreciate the kindness and compassion of the Buddha himself. Because in one teaching, he said, what I discover is very profound. If I were to teach someone, ignorant being, just like ordinary people, we still delight in lust, in craving, in sense pleasure, these people would not understand what I'm about to share with them, because this Dhamma is deep, is profound. It's not merely by reasoning. You cannot just think to understand what, oh, this is what the Buddha discovered. Oh, this is the Four Noble Truth. Four Noble Truth cannot be fully understood by just sit here and think what it is. Oh, what is dukkha? Oh, dukkha is headache, stomach ache. No, it's not just that. What caused dukkha? What is tanha? We don't even know where tanha is, how tanha come about. So it requires more work for us to fully understand that. That's why he said, oh, it's so deep. Should I teach them or should I not teach them? So the Buddha has that moment to reflect of his discovery and to move forward to teach the being or not. but with his compassion, okay, there will be someone out there who understand what I about to teach them. So he decided to teach. That's why he go to locate the 5 ascetic who support him when he was torturing himself for 6 years. And that first teaching is called the Dhammachakกับ Pavattana Sutta. Okay, which hopefully we'll touch on that topic later on. So these are the 3 things. Now we move on to the Dhamma. Why Dhamma is invaluable. The word Dhamma itself in Pali it means uphold. Uphold means what? Like something stick together. It's uphold the goodness, the quality, the virtue, the skillful, or the wholesomeness. It preserve, it protect, it sustain. That's the root meaning of the word Dhamma. But when it's come to us try to understand the Dhamma, we normally think of the Dhamma as in these 3 aspects. The first is the nature of things, the true nature of things. Just like we get old, we get ill, we die. That's normal. All of us, human, animal, be subject to the same law of nature. That's the nature of things. That's the Dhamma. And nobody created it. It's just there. Whether the Buddha exists or not, this law of nature, they're already there. Second, the Dhamma can mean the teaching of the Buddha. Okay, that's what we are learning. We're learning the Dhamma. Learning what? Learning the teaching of the Buddha. And the third dimension is the universal truth of the natural law. Is the truth that unchangeable is always here. It was here, now it's still here, and it will be here. Either when we are gone. That's universal, and it can apply to all beings. It doesn't concern the belief system, doesn't concern any law. It's just there. It's universal. Whether Buddhist people practice or not, non-Buddhist people practice or not, this law always there, and this law always work. For example, if we talk about the 5 precepts, 5 precepts is not for Buddhist people to observe. 5 precepts is the universal moralities. If someone observes 5 precepts, whether Christianity, Islam, Buddhist, Taoism, they will become a good person. They will become a man with no regret. When someone stop killing someone, stop stealing someone, stop sexual misconduct, stop telling a lie, and stop intoxicate oneself, then they become a man of principle, a man of moralities, which it has nothing to do with believing system. It's just the pure wholesomeness that every being should cultivate it. But the thing about the Dhamma is there are levels, at least 3 levels. When you come to study Dhamma, you keep this picture in mind. It's not just you come to study. It's called pariyatti. Pariyatti is the theory. You study the theory, concept. Oh, what is the concept of the 5 precepts? What is the concept of meditation? What is the concept of dana? What is the concept of merit and demerit? It's not just that. You learn and then you put into practice. That the second step is called patipatti. Patipatti is the practicing of the Dhamma that you learn. You learn mindfulness, you learn clear comprehension. That's why I asked you, did you put them into practice? You learn about being patient, you learn about how to feel grateful for someone who do good for you. Did you put that Dhamma into practice? Now I'm emphasized on the second level of the Dhamma, which is the patipatti. Somehow they support, they complement each others. How can you practice if you don't know the theory? How can you observe 5 precepts if you don't know what are the 5 precepts? How can you sit and meditate if you don't know what is meditation, what the technique that you're about to be using? You need to learn the theory first. So theory is like the map. Okay, it's like the map. And when you have the map and you don't go anywhere, the map doesn't do any good for you. So when you start walking down the map, that's called practicing of patipatti. You start walk down the map. Okay, I'm going to observe 5 precepts. Okay, I'm going to try to practice meditation. I'm going to start to practice generosity by giving. Is that it? No. You see how clever of the Buddha, how deep of the Dhamma that one should keep in mind. There is another step called realizing. This is called pativeta. Pativeta means you have the direct experience. You have direct experience of the Dhamma, that particular Dhamma that you are practicing. So you observe precept until you see the result. Hey, observe precept is really good. It helped me to help my mind to be free from worry. It helped me to feel grateful for myself. It helped me to have no regret of my own action. And when I go meditate, because of my precept is clean, my meditation is getting better and better, bit by bit. Now you have the direct experience that, hey, observing precept is good. Now you have confidence. When you hear the word precept again, you have confidence that precept is good. No matter what the world said, you know it's good because it happened to you. And when you keep on sitting, whatever technique you use, you know that, hey, from a lot of thought, coming down to have less thought, keep on sitting 1 month, 3 months, and now there's almost like no thought at all. Feel relaxed, feel happiness, feel joyful, feel peaceful. Every time I sit, now you have the direct experience of the meditation practice. But before you can have that direct experience, you must learn first, right? Okay, what is meditation? How many kind of meditation technique that the Buddha teach? Which one is good for me? You look for the teacher, you read the book, you go to the retreat, and then you come back and sit. Then you get to this level of experience. That's how one should practice the Dhamma. So the significance of the Dhamma, at least there are 6 things. First, Sawakato, the one we chant, Bhagavata Dhammo. Bhagavata Dhammo. The Buddha's teaching are excellently explained. His teaching is always clear, excellently explained by this good teacher. Santitiko, the Dhamma result are visible in this life when practiced sincerely. When you seriously observe precept, you mindfully observe precept, and you don't break precept at all. Let's say for 1 week, try it for 1 week, and you know what? This 7 days, I did not break any precept at all. I keep my precept clean, at least 5 precepts. And when you look deep into your mind, you feel joy, you feel proud of yourself, you feel relief, you feel worry-free of your own action. You never hurt anyone physically, verbally. You never steal, you did not steal anything from someone. You did not telling a lie to someone, even your friend or your customer, something like this. So you see the result right away. Akaliko means it's timeless. It doesn't go by time. If someone observe precept, okay, 500 years ago, they get to the result, just like you observe precept this day in the 21st century. I'm talking about 100 years from now, if someone still come to study the teaching of the Buddha and start observing precept, they will experience the same thing. It's called akaliko. Ehipasiko, you must do it yourself. Okay, so the teaching of the Buddha he never said that, believe me what I'm about to tell you. There's no such thing in his teaching. He said, ehipasiko, come and learn and prove it by yourself. Then if whatever you are practicing, if it bring you goodness, bring you lift up the quality of your mind, that's the Dhamma. Continue to develop, continue to maintain those Dhamma that you practice. If people say, oh, this one is good, that one is not good, don't right away just believe. And at the same time, don't right away just reject. Wise people would take things into deep consideration and prove it by themselves. Okay, so examine the Dhamma before accepting it. That's the instruction of the Buddha. And Opanajiko, the Dhamma lead to the liberation and awakening. Okay, it's definitely worth pursuing. We may not understand Nibbana. We have no idea what it is and how to get there. Why don't we start from something simple like giving, donation, or observing precept? It's worth pursuing. Give a little bit thing, observe, start from 5 precepts, and then go to the next step to observe 8 precepts to see what happened to your life. Okay, Buddha guarantee is worth pursuing. And the last one, Pachatang Vetitapo Vinyuhi. The Dhamma must be experienced individually and can be only understood by wise. So you must practice yourself. And then you have the direct experience with that Dhamma, then you will be confident. That's the significance of the Dhamma. What if I practice Dhamma and I don't get the result? Or you say meditation is good, Luang Pi. I have been sitting for 3 months by now, see nothing, hear nothing. only pain, boring, darkness, sleepiness, keep on complaining about this obstacle that you've been having. Maybe something is wrong. Maybe it's not the technique. Maybe you maybe not knowing fully of that technique. So your job is to open up your eye, your heart, and reach out to your teacher to see what is going on. How come I feel like I make very slow progress or make no progress at all in my meditation practice? How come this technique work for someone else? It doesn't work for you. There must be a reason. So the Buddha is a great teacher. When someone come to him, he will take you to the point where you can be free from whatever challenging or obstacle that you have. There was a case that the man, who's one of the disciple of Sariputta, the great man, the master of wisdom of the Buddha. And one of students of Sariputta has been practicing asubha, reflect on the dead body in his meditation for a long, long time. So he achieved nothing. He cannot go further than that. And one day he met the Buddha. The Buddha gave him the new meditation object to reflect on. Because he is a great teacher, he knew the background of these students. He used to be born as a son in the rich family. They work on gold. They make flower from gold. The Buddha said, you visualize the red gold. And when the technique changed, that fit that characteristic of that student, right then he achieved arahantship. Easy for him to think of the goal because he had been working with goal for 500 lifetime before this lifetime. But he has been, introduced to thinking or reflecting on death, which the mind not get used to that. See, in this spiritual journey, you must have teacher. You cannot be success alone. The teacher is the one who have more experience than us. They sit more than us. They have gone through all kind of problem, and they know how to deal with that. They know the nature of the mind more than us. So they can help us to clarify doubt that we have. Then we can just right away make progress very quickly. So from time to time, it's good to go to the retreat. Okay, so you can have a chance to meditate with your teacher and ask some question. So that's the significance of the Dhamma. So if we keep it short, you can think of Dhamma in 3 dimensions. Number one is the universal truth is true to all beings. There's no country, no believing system, no culture can be the problem that blocking you from, there's nothing in this world. Okay, like I said, the believing system, the culture, the location, wherever you are, the truth is always the truth. That's the nature of the Dhamma. It's not just for Buddhist people. No, the Buddha discovered this Dhamma. He said, whether I exist or not, this Dhamma, they are already there. Second is the path to liberation. When we practice the Dhamma, our life will be further and further away from the mental impurities, from greed, from hatred, from delusion. That means we're getting closer and closer to Nibbana, even though it seems to be very far-reaching destination. But it always takes one step at a time. If today you observe precept, if today you start to sit and meditate, if today you study Dhamma, today you reach out and help others, that means you are walking the path. You're getting closer and closer and closer to Nibbana, to the path of liberation. Again, it's timeless. Okay, it's timeless. This generation, the past generation or the future generation, if they practice the Dhamma, they realize the same thing. And the last one is called the Sangha. The noble Sangha or Ariya Sangha are the group of people who are able to remove a certain kind of mental impurity from their mind. They uproot them completely. You think of the stream winner, the Soda Patana, Sakathakami, Anakami, and the Arahant. There are 4 levels of the noble being, which we haven't talked about them in detail yet. Okay. Anyway, to keep it short, the noble Sangha are the group of Sangha who are able to uproot a certain level of the mental impurity from their mind completely. And the second is called the conventional Sangha. Sammuti Sangha. Sammut means conventional. Just like regular monks, nuns, including Luang Pi, myself speaking here, I'm a conventional Sangha. I'm not a noble Sangha yet. So significance of the Sangha, at least three things. Because they experience the Dhamma and they preserve the Dhamma or the Buddha teaching. That's why they're worth respect. They're worth worshipping. Second, because of them, the teaching of Buddha is still alive. They protect and they propagate. If the monk back then, the lay people back then, they neglect to share the teaching of the Buddha, there would be no teaching of the Buddha that come to us today. Because people don't share, people don't teach, people feel like, oh, it's not my job. I just want to observe precept. I just want to meditate myself. So just neglect to reach out and share the teaching to others. Then the teaching will stop, cannot go far. What we do here, just like I said, we study the teaching, we help protect the teaching, and we are propagating the teaching of the Buddha. And another significance of someone being a Sangha is merit field for the world. Now we come to the new concept in Buddhism called merit or punya, which we haven't talked about it yet. It will be in the later lecture as well, the concept of merit and demerit. In short, the merit is the idea of the positive energy. Okay, we are here today because of the merit and the demerit that we commit in the past, or the karma that we did in the past, good and bad, that make us today as a man, as a woman, as highly educated, low education, born rich, born poor. All of this is involved with this merit and demerit concept, which we will study together later on. Okay, it's another important concept in Buddhism, and that's also give us the hint that, hey, there is life after death. This is not the first lifetime that we are born, and it's definitely not the last lifetime either. All of us gonna have to keep born and reborn for a very long time, a countless lifetime. That's why all of this can be accumulated, merit and demerit, good and bad. Keep in our own mind. And the Buddha mentioned that the Sangha is the merit field. Merit field, you think of the right field. If you are the farmer, you want to grow rice, right? To plot of land A and land B. If you grow the rice into the land B, the land A, which is, take care, you look after this land very well. You fertilize it, you make sure there is water, there is nutrition on the land. And when you put the grain of rice into land A, you can expect, more rice in return. But if you throw the same grain of rice into land B, which you don't take care of the land, you just neglect the land, no water, no fertilizer, and then there is no way that you can get maximum benefit out of the second land, even though it's the same grain of rice. Same thing, if you make merit to someone who have clean precept, to a noble person, you gain maximum benefit in return. So come to this question, why the triple gems are invaluable and worth highest respect? Why is that? Number one is called the guidance, right? They provide a comprehensive guidance for spiritual development. The Buddha served as the ultimate teacher and the role model for us. And the Dhamma offer the actual teaching and the practice. And the Sangha provide the community support and living example. That's the guidance. Second is called liberation. Together, they form a complete path to liberation from suffering. The Buddha demonstrated the possibility of enlightenment that, hey, if you train yourself like this, one day you become like me. And I have done this before. I have walked down this path before. Second, the Dhamma explain how to achieve, how to do that. And the Sangha support the practitioner along the way until, the person get there. And number three is serve as a refuge in the world of uncertainty and suffering. The triple gems offer a reliable refuge. They provide a stability, direction, and comfort in facing life challenges, right? Refuge. I think for me, I really intrigued by this word, seeking refuge. I have been to the funeral many times, and getting to know the people who are about to die, including my mom, my uncle. In the time of death of Buddhist people, they normally think of the Buddha. We call Buddha Nusati, to recollect the virtue of the Buddha, to invite the Buddha to comfort them in the time of crisis, to have the Buddha sit in their mind. When we know that, or when we feel that the Buddha is with us, we feel relief, we feel safe. And that's the meaning of refuge, something that reliable, something that can comfort us in the time of turbulence, in the time of crisis. And the number 4 is preservation. Preservation means what? The Triple Gem ensure that the continuity of Buddhist teaching. Without the Triple Gem, how can the teaching of the Buddha continue to last, right? The Sangha in particular play a crucial role in preserving and transmitting the Buddha wisdom across the generation. We have the monks communities, right? We have the Buddhist texts that keep the teaching of the Buddha. Preservation. And the last one is called universal relevance. Number 5, that means the insight and practice encompassed by the Triple Gems are considered universal applicable, transcending time and culture. It transcending time and culture, believing system, country, location. It transcends all of that because it's universal. And how can we seek refuge in the Triple Gems? This is what we do, right? In the Buddha time, it's very simple. By saying this 3 times, then you become Buddhist. Then you take the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha into your refuge, to be your refuge. Buddham Saranang Kachami, I go to the Buddha for refuge. Dhammang Saranang Kachami, I go for the Dhamma. I go to the Dhamma for refuge. And the Sanghang Saranang Kachami, I go to the Sangha for refuge. That's it. Simple. This is how someone, if they want to demonstrate that, hey, I'm going to become the Buddhist, this is the words that they normally say. But now we come this far, it's not just saying the words. It must come with understanding the meaning of why you seek refuge in the Buddha, why you seek refuge in the Dhamma, why you seek refuge in the Sangha. And that's the concept of the Triple Gems. Okay, so this is the last one about the Triple Gems before we continue the rest. The benefit of seeking refuge in the Triple Gems in the real world. You may feel like, oh, Luang Pi, I'm non-Buddhist. I'm just come here to learn, to see if anything benefit me, but I'm going to continue to be a Christian or Islam. It's okay. Like I said, it's a universal truth. You can be a better Christian. You can be a better Islam if you put the Dhamma into practice correctly. If you feel uncomfortable with the word Dhamma, you can change it to something else. It's just the body of knowledge. You learn something, it better your life, you continue to develop that. What about sati, mindfulness? What about meditation, practice, concentration? What about loving kindness? What about forgiveness? What about donation? Something like this is considered a good thing. That's the Dhamma. So there are many people in this world that are suffering and don't know the direction of life, don't know the meaning of life. Before life was good, all of a sudden life gone bad. And they start to look for something to be blamed. They get lost in life. They start to lose faith in whatever religions that they follow. So if we look at this system as like a universal system, the body of knowledge that everyone is welcome to come, learn, and see by themselves and put into practice. That's what the Buddha means. Ehipasiko, come and learn and practice by yourself and have a direct experience by yourself. Then your life will be better. Okay. There was a man who come and ordained with us in the last batch, come from a good life, and all of a sudden there's a crisis going on. This COVID-19 get hit around the world, and it affects everyone, financially, relationship, business, customer, psychologically. It affects all of us. And all of a sudden the business gone bad. People thinking of, how can I survive? When worse come to worse, people even think of committed suicide. And that is bad. That is not the teaching of the Buddha. That is dukkha. Dukkha is a problem. Dukkha comes from cause. Our job is to acknowledge that there is a dukkha, there's a problem. What caused this problem? That's your job. With the first noble truth is to recognize that there is a problem right here, right now. With mindfulness, with patience, with hiri-ottappa that we learn, put them into practice. Think of the cause and try to figure it out. So later on, he started to read some book about Buddhism. And he came across the teaching of the Four Noble Truths. It makes a lot of sense. And he liked it so much. He wanted to go deep. So he take that time off just to explore the teaching, go to meditation retreat, read the Dhamma, more of the Dhamma book, and come to Thailand and find place to meditate with the monk. And finally, he made it to come and ordain with us for 30 days. And that's take him deeper into the teaching of the Buddha, into the realm of the triple gems. He become the part of the triple gem himself by getting himself ordained, become the conventional Sangha. And now his view of seeing life is totally different from where he from. He become more understanding, more accepting person, more peace and calm, know how to meditate, know how to deal with thought, know the benefit of observing precept, something like this. This is the benefit of the triple gems when someone seek the refuge in the triple gem in this very life, in this real world. It's not just the beautiful theory out there. I'm not talking about Nibbana. I'm talking about something that you can use right here, right now. Come to the teaching, study Dhamma, observing precept, meditate, reach out to help others. And then, bit by bit, you become a better person. You become a happier person. Okay? So this is, again, the summary of what we just learned. We learned about the Buddha gems. We learned about the Dhamma gem. And we learned about the Sangha gem. So get to know them, reflect on them again later on your own pace and why they are so important, why they consider the best refuge for all beings. Okay? Now, we come to the instruction of the Buddha, another subject, which again is related. In Ovata Patimokkha that the Buddha gave to the 60 Arahant before sending them out to share the teaching, Buddha gave this teaching. There are three things. This is considered the instruction of all the Buddha, not just this Buddha. Not to do any evil. Number one, to embrace the good, and to embrace the good, that's number two, and to purify one mind, that's number three. There are three instructions of the Buddha. Abstaining from bad karma or bad action, to do good karma or good action, and to purify one's mind of defilements, the mental impurities. There are three things, very simple. If someone asks you, can you summarize the teaching of the Buddha? This may be one of the answers that you can give. Okay, the Buddha teach three things. Whatever considered bad, don't do it. Don't do it. Whatever considered good, do it, even though it's a little thing. But he did not just stop there. Not just don't do bad, not just continue to do good, but you continue to meditate too, to purify your mind. Because even though you give, you care others, but you yourself still have the defilement. You yourself still have the tanha, the greed, hatred, delusion in your mind. The only way to uproot those things is to practice the meditation. So these are the important instructions of the Buddha. Look at this picture again, right? Whether you're a lay person, a monk, okay, we walking toward the same destination, which is Nibbana one day. We don't know when, but we know the Buddha tells us there's something called Nibbana that everyone can achieve, everyone can experience. And to do that, you need to educate yourself. You need to train yourself by observing precept, by practice, develop the quality of your mind through the meditation, through the loving kindness, through the forgiveness. There are many ways to develop the quality of the mind. And by developing your panya or wisdom to understand the reality of things, the true nature of things. That's the short formula. That's someone who walked down this path. And now today we come to this teaching. Okay, there are three instructions that the Buddha gives. Are they related to this structure? To abstaining from bad, to do good, to purify one mind. How can we fit them into this trisikha or the threefold training? Whether you're a monk or lay people, right? As a lay person, you observe 5 precepts, sometimes 8 precepts. Monk, Samanera know it's 10 precepts, right? For the monk, over 200. For the female monks, 311 precepts. A lot of precepts. Quick question. What's the difference in this picture? What's the difference between monk and the lay people? Is that the hairstyle? Is that the clothes that they wear? Is that the place that they stay? Is that the food that they eat? is that their daily activity. What is one thing that make them different from each others? You may never thought about it. Oh, monk is a monk. He shaved his head. He wearing orange robe. That's why he different. No, it's not just the appearance, not the outfit, it's not the hairstyle that make monk different from the lay people. In the realities, what make this group of people different is the precept they observe. You see, the lay people 5 precept, 8 precept. Sometimes lay people observe no precept. Because they are lay person, they don't have to worry about breaking precept too much. But when someone decided to become a monk, precept is their life. The only thing that makes us different than the lay people, the most important thing is the precept we observe. If the monk and novice, if we don't observe precept, if we do the same thing as the lay people do, then we are no different than them. We eat dinner, we go dance, we go play soccer, we shopping, we do things as the lay people do. Then monk is not a monk. That's the difference. That's the main difference. That's why monk is worth respect, because they have more precept than us. They wake up early. Monk cannot get up late. Before 5 o'clock, monk go for the morning chanting. Monk go meditate. Monk study Dhamma. Monk harm nobody. Do our best to forgive. Do our best to understand. You don't see the monk go out there and start harming others, start yelling to people. That's not the monk, because we live by the precept. That's why the monk is considered the merit field to the world, because they are kind person. They are man of principle. They are man of precept. That's to the realm of Buddhism. Okay, so now you come to know the idea of why the Sangha is important in another dimension. Okay, so if you put them together in the structure of the Trisikha or the threefold training, the Sila Samadhi Panya, this is a short formula of the Noble Eightfold Path, which we will be learning later on. Among 84,000 teachings of the Buddha can be summarized into these three structure, three framework: the framework of Sila, the framework of mind development, and the framework of wisdom development. If you master all of this, perfect all of them, then you will realize Nibbana. You become Arahant. Simple is that. Simple doesn't mean easy, right? Simple doesn't mean easy. So not to do all evil, that means you don't do bad. To embrace on the good, okay, to do good, and to purify one's mind. How can we fit them into this 1, 2, and 3? Not to do all evil, where should this go to? Think about it. Not to do all evil, right? Whatever considered bad, you don't do it. The reason you don't kill, the reason you don't lie, you don't steal, because you observe precept. So this go here. It's about precept. What about to embrace on the good? So now this one is taken. We have 2 and 3 left. Embrace on the good and to purify one's mind. It's a little bit difficult, but still be able to manage, to understand. Okay, so this is the beauty of study Dhamma. You learn, you think. Don't believe what you see on the screen. You take it, reflect, and then it becomes your understanding. My job is to help you, give you information, and help you, guide you how to think, okay, to the right direction. Okay, so when we think of to embrace on the good, this represents the quality of the mind. It's the mind development. Because when your mind is good, you know, when your thinking is good, automatically your bodily action and verbally action will be good, right? So the mind development this is number 2. It's a samadhi. Again, last week, Lumpy did mention about this quickly. If you did not join last class, you may not know what I talk about. So in Pali, the first one is called Sila. Okay, this one is Sila. The second one is called Chitta. And the third one is called Panya. Okay, originally, this is what it appears in the text. And now it gets translated to English, which it may not bring all the meaning in that Pali terms. Chitta means the mind development. Chitta means mind. So the first one is the development of body and speech through the Sila. Okay, don't kill, don't lie, don't steal, no sexual misconduct, no intoxicant. That's the precept. That not to do bad to the physical and verbally action. But now it's come to the mind, to develop the mind through the Chitta Bhavana, which there are many ways to develop the quality of the mind, like share loving kindness, develop mindfulness, develop forgiveness, learn how to be patient, learn how to have hiri otapa, moral shame and moral fear. This is the quality of the mind. So why don't they put the chitta in the blue circle? Why they use the word samadhi? Okay, that may be the reason. It's not just there for no reason, right? Because one way to answer this question is because samadhi is probably one of the most outstanding way to develop the quality of the mind. But it's not just samadhi. When you sit, you calm the mind down, the mind become clear. When the mind is clear, you see things better. You make a better decision because you can see it through the problem instead of making decision while the mind is crowded. But it's not just meditation that help develop the quality of the mind. There are something else that Long P just mentioned, like hiri otapa, being patient, khanti solacha, forgiveness, sati sampachanya, mindfulness and awareness. There's a lot of things. And that's why to embrace to do good is about you develop the quality of the mind. And that leaves us one last item to be matched, which is the purify one mind, will get us to the panya. This is get interesting. When we talk about panya, there are 3 levels of panya, right? It's called sutta maya panya. Sutta means learn wisdom. You want to know something, you go learn, then you know that thing. Second is called reflective. Reflective means cinta maya panya. You learn sutta, you hear, you read, and then you think. Now you learn the same thing, you learn the triple gems, but you cannot think in the same direction or the same you don't have the same level of understanding because you don't have the same ability to think. Some people have a very analytical mind. They can think deep. Some people think very, very steep and think very shallow. They cannot go deep. They say, oh, okay, that's all I can think of. Okay, 5 things, 3 things. But some people can think deeper than that and can also connect the dot of what they just learned. So it becomes reflective. After reflect, it becomes your wisdom. And the last wisdom is called bhavana maya panya. It's meditation that comes from the meditation. In this case, we're talking about the vipassana meditation. Okay, so you develop the quality of the mind up to the level where the mind is become clear and bright. Then we start to see things the way they are, to see that these 5 aggregate is not us. It's the wrong view of the sense of self that we have. So if we see that, then we can let go. That's the idea. So to purify one mind refer to the ultimate goal in Buddhism, which is to get to the ultimate wisdom, to see things the way they are. Then we can let go. Okay. All right. We come to the last topic. Almost there. Okay, the Buddha talked about don't do bad, do good, and purify one mind. He did not just stop there. Now he's giving us the framework. What is considered good? What is considered bad in Buddhism? That's the beauty of his teaching. If we divided them into 2 parts, in the text you may find the word tucharit and sucharit. Tucharit means unskillful action. Sucharit means skillful action. The body, speech, and mind. Kaya means body. Okay. Vachi means speech, and mano means mind. So body, speech, and mind. In other words, human being, we can commit karma in 3 ways. Through what we do, through what we say, and through what we think, and then it becomes the karma. If we elaborate this, this is what you see. This is from the Noble Eightfold Path. The Buddha pinpoint to us, he gives us the framework that, guy, this is it. This is what I mean by the good and the bad. Not to do bad, to do good. This is what it means. So we can do action or karma in three ways, right? First, bodily action. Second, verbally action. The third is mentally action. So we can do things, we can say things, and we can think of things in positive way or negative way. If it's positive, it becomes merit. If it's negative, it becomes demerit. Punya or papa. That's the concept. So let's take a look at the first side, the side of wholesome or kusala kamma first. Bodily action. If someone do these three things, it's called unwholesome or akusala, or the bad action. First, killing. Second, stealing. The third, sexual misconduct. Oh, okay. Sound familiar, right? This is the first precept, the second precept, and the third precept in the 5 precepts. And by understanding this unwholesome, I think right away we understand what it means by wholesome. If we don't do these 3 things, it becomes a wholesome bodily action by default. Abstaining from killing or harming beings, abstaining from stealing someone's stuff that not belong to you, abstaining from sexual misconduct. That's considered a wholesome bodily action. What about the speech? False speech, slanderous speech or harsh speech, divisive speech, speech that break people into groups, and frivolous speech or idle chatter, speech that is no beneficial of that conversation. Again, this is precept number 4, right? In the 5 precepts. Oppositely, it's considered a wholesome verbally action. Abstaining from what? False speech, abstaining from slanderous speech, abstaining from divisive speech, and abstaining from frivolous or unbeneficial speech. So this consider an unwholesome, consider a wholesome verbally action. Okay, so this, you see, the Buddha go into detail. Once we see this, we can put them into practice. Otherwise, what it mean by good, what it mean by bad, if he leave us blank, we're gonna come up with our own by think this is good, this is bad, which may not correct, right? And the third one, the third group is called unwholesome mentally action or the thinking or the mano kamma. Mano mean mind, kamma. Covetousness mean what? It's called abhicca. Abhicca mean greed. Okay, want to have something from someone that's unwholesome in an unwholesome manner. Ill will or payabhat. Okay, this come from a certain defilements, which I will explain in a moment. Ill will, you feel resentment towards someone. And the wrong will, this is miccha-tiththi. Wrong will, miccha-tiththi. This consider the mano kamma or the unwholesome mano kamma, unwholesome mentally. The unwholesome thinking. Oppositely, the wholesome thinking is none, right? You put none in front, non-covetousness or non-greed, non-ill will or non-hatred, and right will is non-delusion. Okay, so let's connect the dot a little bit. You see the word greed here, the word hatred here or anger, and the word delusion here, which is again is the moha, right? The moha or delusion. All of this action, whether bodily, speech, and thinking, that considered unwholesome, they drive by the mental impurities. That's why we need to know what they are. What forced us to harm others? What forced us to steal someone's stuff? What forced us to have sexual misconduct? What forced us to say something bad or telling a lie? What forced us to have anger towards someone? What forced us to have the wrong will towards, the reality around us? There must be a reason. So again, in this picture, we can commit karma in 3 ways: through the body, through the speech, and through the mind. And on this side is considered wholesome. I'm sorry, unwholesome, and on this side is considered unwholesome. They're just opposite. And this is the root of unwholesome, or the kilesa. This term may be new to you, kilesa. You're gonna come across this term more often. The kilesa, or the mental impurities. Okay, kilesa or mental impurity. There are three major defilements. It's called greed, hate, and delusion. Greed is lobha, hate is dosa, and delusion is moha. Oppositely is called non-greed, non-hate, and non-delusion. Here you see this picture, maybe understand easier. All of these root of unwholesome, which is lobha number 1, dosa number 2, and the moha number 3, they stem from this guy. This is the big boss called avijja. Avijja, ignorance. Because of not knowing, we have greed. Because of not knowing of the consequence, we have dosa. Because of not knowing, we have the wrong view. It's come from avijja, and then it stem to become another 3 kind of mental impurity, which can, can be divided or can be separated to be many form of misbehavior that drive by lobha, can be many form of action, unwholesome action that drive by dosa, and many form of action that drive by moha. When we talk about kilesa, there are many of them, many names because they are refined. They're more and more refined. You think of the color. When you put the 3 matter color together, right? You put red, yellow, and blue together. You can get thousands of shades. You can get reddish, yellowish, brownish, bluish. There are many of color that stem from those 3 things mixed together in different portion. Same thing, different unwholesome behavior. If we track them down, we will be notice that they come from either one of these, or they come from the combination of these, or they come from all of these together. Okay, so lobha, how do you know that lobha take control of your mind? Lobha is like, you feel hungry, you need to eat something, you need to drink something. That's the lobha in general. You walk down the mall, you feel like you want to buy this thing, even though you don't need it. That drive by the lobha. Okay, dosa is like the heat, right? Dosa, anger. When someone get angry, you feel the body is overwhelming with all kind of negative energies. You feel overheat, you feel the heart, high blood pressure, the heart start beating, pumping the blood, the imbalance of the chemical in the bodies. You feel heat. That's the dosa. And how do you know that moha take control of your mind? Now you get lost. You don't know what to do. You're in the dark mode. You're in the dark mode. So that is the word vichya and avijja. Okay, avijja is ignorant, which all of us has. We were born ignorant. We don't know that we don't know. Our job is to know what we don't know. This, we develop the wisdom, the panya, get to something called vichya, to know that whatever that we don't know. We don't know the Dhamma, we don't know the truth of life, we don't know that, we cling on the idea of sense of self. This is me, this is mine, but in fact, there is no me and there is no mine. And that's the idea of vichya, to get to know what you don't know. And when you know that you don't know, you are liberated. That's why Buddhism praised wisdom the most. The ultimate wisdom is to know that we don't know, to remove, you uproot avijja. When you uproot avijja, you get to vijja, to the highest knowledge that help us to uproot all of these guys, the mental impurity. And when that happens, that person is called the arahant, okay, that they can realize nibbana. Okay, this is the last slide. This is called something called vicious circle in Buddhism as well. And because of this, it forces us to keep reborn. Okay, rebirth is another important keyword in the Four Noble Truths, in the teaching of the Buddha. And when we get to the teaching of the Four Noble Truths, I will emphasize or elaborate about this idea again. And because we still have to keep on reborn and reborn and reborn. There are two group of people who know that this thing is happening, and people who have no idea that this thing is happening. Okay, you know and you don't know. Second. Okay, people who know. Okay, never mind. Okay. People who know and people who don't know, they are different. If we know that, the Buddha discovered this and he shared with us and we get excited about it and we have faith in his teaching, we believe that, wow, this is so nice to know that this is not the first lifetime that I am born. It's not the last lifetime either. I'm going to have to keep reborn and reborn for a countless lifetime because of these kilesa. Because of the kilesa. As long as human mind still have kilesa, it still forces us to commit the karma, and then it will give it. When we commit the bad action, it will save somewhere in the mind, become that negative energy that keep in the mind, and it will go with us in the future life. Because when we die, the body break, the body die, but the mind doesn't die. The mind carry on in the future life, and it keeps everything that it commit, good, bad, not good, not bad. In other words, it keep all the karma, the action that individual have done throughout his or her life while he was or she was alive. It's become the result of the karma or vipaka. So as long as the kilesa is still there, we're going to have to keep reborn and reborn and reborn. Born in good place. If we know, we do good, we die, we born in heaven. If we don't know, we do bad, we die in unhappy realm. So anyway, still have to die and reborn. But if we know that the Buddha point to something called Nibbana, this cycle can be ended. And that's the good news. And there are many people in the past that have walked the path and finished this cycle, the vicious cycle. No more rebirth for them. And that is why there's a classic sentence for all Arahant when they get to that level, when they uproot all the mental impurity, they say the same thing. They said the holy life has been lived. What needs to be done has been done. For me, there is no more future rebirth. The job is done. For us, we don't know when it's going to be finished. It's a long journey, but at least we know that this thing happened, this thing exists in the law, according to the law of nature that the Buddha discovered and revealed to us. So we should be careful of our own action. If you do good, you get good. If you do bad, you get bad. That's it. That's the law of karma. Simple is that. No one can escape this. No one can remove the sin, the action that you do, that you did. You yourself have to fix it. You yourself have to get up and take responsible for your own action. Okay. All right. So with that, should be okay for today. Hope everyone learned something new, and most importantly, put whatever you learn into practice. So we pay respect to the triple gem, that we take a break.